Hello, I'm Janette Burke, online media personality, TV show podcast host of Janette's TV podcast, correspondent, MC speaker, and on-camera media consultant, back with another Janette Tips in Sips. Pour yourself a cup of tea, coffee, wine, whatever you feel like drinking, and come and join me because this segment is for you. We talk about must-have products, lifestyle tips, lifestyle hacks, recipes, recommendations, and so much more. Today, I'm going to talk about something that is maybe a little bit serious, and I think it's really something that affects a lot of savvy women over 40, and it has to do with dealing with elderly parents as part of the sandwich generation. And often the duties of taking care of elderly parents fall on the woman, whether it's the daughter-in-law, or the grandchild, or whatever. It's always the women in the family that do the brunt of the work. Now, don't get me wrong. Having someone elderly in your life is a blessing, especially if it's a parent, a grandparent, or even an advisor, a mentor, a friend. I have a very elderly mother, and I have been caregiving for her for months on end. I do at least 4 or 5 days a week. I want to talk about, though, taking care of you, because unfortunately, caregiver burnout is a reality. And often when we are taking care of loved ones, we neglect ourselves. I know I'm guilty of that. I'm not getting enough sleep, and I'm finding it hard to balance out my caregiving with my running of my business, my filming, and my various other duties. But it needs to be done. So what are your options? Well, the first thing is to look at where there's help. In some countries, particularly countries like Canada, there are government agencies that provide help in the form of a PSW. They will come in a few times a day and do the personal care of your loved one. Personal care is just that, personal care. And yes, they don't stay very long. And in most cases, do not do anything but personal care, as in they will not be helping you do any cleaning, any grocery shopping, any laundry, or any other role that would be necessary to perform. Even serving meals or preparing meals. They may serve a cup of tea or a quick lunch, but it would have to be made usually, or even the breakfast would have to be made in advance. So again, this would fall under someone's responsibility to have ready. In my case, it's me. A lot of added workload in the day and a lot of added responsibility. You have to plan for that, because if you don't plan for that, it will eat you up. And you can literally become crazy from it. You need to make sure that you take some time for yourself and that you know your limitations. In terms of other resources, again, depending on what country you're living in, there may be some other government help. There may be some community outreach you can call upon and do your research, or even local church or other religious institution where you can get some kind of reprieve, even if it's a volunteer that comes in, or a food service like Meals on Wheels that delivers a meal or two. But they're not free. You do have to pay for some of these. Some of them are, some of them you do have to pay for. There are cleaning services. There are agencies that will allow you to hire added help, added PSWs. Again, do your homework, do your research, because it's not always workable. There are challenges, but they can be solved through education, as in providing instructions, maybe going over or staying to make sure that everything's getting done, or going in and checking every so often to make sure things are getting done to the way you've explained it or your expectations, or if not, having a conversation with the agency and saying, what is missing or what you think could be done differently. In the case of the government PSWs, there is a care plan provided, and the PSWs are supposed to adhere to that. If they do not, you can phone the caseworker and have a discussion about it. So, yes, there's a lot to consider when you're taking care of an elderly person. But again, the resources are there. You have to look into them. I know it's all time. It's all phone calls, it's meetings and what have you, because also there is usually care from a doctor and care from a nurse that will happen every so many weeks. So then the only other options are to research either retirement homes in your area, which can be costly, and you really want to look into what you're getting for your money and what is the most appropriate source of care. Is it independent living? Is it assisted living? I do have a few recommendations for you when going through a retirement home. Make sure you take the tour. Make sure you really keep your eyes open. Make sure you ask questions like what is included and what isn't, because sometimes there's some hidden fees, and you'd want to know that, because once you put someone in a home, it's not that easy to take them out, because now they don't have their own home to return to or any of their furniture, or very little of it left. So you can't really look back. But once they're there, you don't want to be hit with a bunch of hidden costs that you haven't factored for the month. You don't want to put them in a position where their money runs out, because in some retirement care homes, when the money runs out, they're no longer welcome to stay there. They may have to go to a long-term care. But long-term care has its own set of challenges. First of all, the wait times are extensive and applications must be made. And you must also go and research those facilities to see which would meet your loved one's needs. So there's, again, a lot of research to be done. But it has to get done, and it's better to do your homework up front than to face surprises later on. The question then becomes, after you do your research and start crunching down your numbers, you need to decide what is the best option: keeping your loved one in their home, in their residence, or with help, even added help, or move in somebody like a caregiver permanently, or move them into a retirement facility. You need to do all your homework, gather all your costs, and do a cost analysis and factor which is the best option. If they're beyond living on their own, even with assisted living, or they have severe illness or what have you, then you could try for long-term care. As I mentioned, that process is lengthy. Beds are not available. Wait times are long. You do need to put an application process together, and you need to list out the facilities and wait for a bed to come. Your doctor will have to be involved. So these are some of the things to consider. Also, if your loved one is in a hospital right now, they may gain some priority, but it's hard to say. I'm sharing these tips with you because this is Janette's Tips and Sips, and I've been going through it myself, and I know what it's like, and I know what you must be going through if you are dealing with similar circumstances. So I want to make it as smooth a transition as possible and help you. This is my first Janette's Tips and Sips on how to navigate care for the elderly, but this is a really big topic, and I will have another tips and sips on this, and I might specify one end of it, like retirement care or long-term care. You know what? Let me know in the comments below which you would like me to really focus on. And until my next tips and sips, which you can watch them all on the Janette's TV Podcast YouTube channel, link below, there is a special playlist just for the tips and sips. Until then, take care of yourself, be informed, stay savvy, and do your best for your loved one and yourself. Bye for now.